Good afternoon. Welcome to midweek musings here at Trinity Heights United Methodist Church in Newton, Kansas. I'm Kent Little, lead clergy here at the church. Just a couple of notes as we get started today. Welcome if you're joining us live. Welcome if you join us later and it's not live. Most importantly, I'm glad you've tuned in if you are tuning in. So I think I mentioned last week we were having a single service and then with a breakfast ahead of time, a carrying breakfast. It went great. We had a good crowd, really good food. What was that? The Field of Dreams, where it says, build it and they will come. I think in the United Methodist Church it's feed them and they will come. Anyway, it was a great day. It was a great Sunday. If you were here, glad you were here. If not, we missed you, but it was a good Sunday. So last Sunday we dealt a little bit with some difficult or subversive parables, if you remember last week's midweek musing. And so during worship we dealt with those. We wrestled with those in terms of what exactly do they mean? And in some respect, like one of my favorite preaching professors from seminary said that you need to try not to explain a parable. You should let it speak for itself. And those parables were kind of difficult. And so some of the thoughts we ended the morning with was, we may not, and we may have an idea, we may not have an idea of what these parables might mean for us today, and so we need to sit with them. But we do that together as a community of faith. We wrestle with these, which is a good segue into what's coming up this next Sunday. If you're familiar with the story, some of you may be, some of you may not be. I don't want to assume everybody is familiar with all of the biblical stories. It's the story of Jacob and his journey back to reunite himself with his brother Esau. And he's on a journey. And he comes to a river. He establishes a camp for his family on the one side of the river. He crosses the river. And the story is that he goes to sleep and he's, I don't want to say attacked, but he encounters an angel of the Lord, an image of God, and he wrestles with God. And as I think about that, that's kind of what we're going to deal with this Sunday, wrestling with God. And I don't know about you, I can only speak for myself. In my own journey, I have had a plethora of opportunities to wrestle with God, to wrestle with what I believe God is about, wrestle with the image of God, wrestle with how I believe God acts and interacts with us and in the world, or doesn't. Wrestle with my own understanding and theology of how I view God and how I think God is present, how God is present, where God is present, how God is involved in particular situations. There's a multitude of opportunities to wrestle with that kind of thing, and I think it's important. One of the things I want to do after in the fall here at Trinity Heights is begin. I hesitate to call it a class. I'd rather call it a discussion group, if you will. On Wednesday nights, we have Wednesday night welcome here, where we have a meal and the little ones come and they learn from our children's director. And then I want to provide an opportunity for adults, teenagers, college age, whoever would be welcome. Think about calling it Theology Matters. And it carries a double meaning. Not only theology matters about theology, what we think about when we think about God, but also theology matters. Because I believe how we understand God matters in our own journey and in the world, because how we understand God affects, or at least it should affect, how we encounter the world, how we treat the world, how we treat creation, how we treat one another. And so I want to do that. And that's part of what I think we're wrestling with this coming Sunday is wrestling with God in terms of what do we believe about God. And I think that's part of what Jacob was wrestling with. He had left after some kind of underhanded dealings with his brother, took his father's blessing, etc. And now he's coming back. And I think on that journey back, he's really wrestling with how is his brother going to receive him? How does God see him in the midst of all of this? How does God see his brother in the midst of all of this? Will his brother welcome him? Will his brother kill him? Will his brother reject him, send him away? And I think Jacob finds himself wrestling with all of that, and perhaps even with how he understands God and how he understands his relationship with his brother, how he understands his relationship with God. And I think those are things we all wrestle with, or I should use I language, that I have always wrestled with, especially when I find myself in difficult situations. When other people, when colleagues or friends or family tell me that they believe God is acting in a particular way, in a particular circumstance, say, the death of a loved one, or a serious disease, how do we believe God is involved in that? And I think those are things, at least I have long wrestled with, and that's what I want to talk about this Sunday. Is that first of all, that it's okay. It's okay to wrestle with God. It's okay to question. It's okay to have doubts. I said Sunday, which and the longer I'm here at Trinity Heights, of course, many of you know I've only been here for about a month. One of my favorite sayings is, I have questions. Questions about God, questions about our scripture tradition, questions about what we believe and why we believe and how we believe and when we believe. I think questions are good. Questions are welcome. I don't remember who the theologian was. A theologian I remember reading years ago said something to the effect that we search the scriptures for the answers, and we discover we're asking the wrong questions. So questions are good. Doubts, I believe, are necessary to faith. That we question, we doubt, we wonder, we wrestle with. One of my favorite authors and theologians was Frederick Buechner. Maybe some of you have read some of his writings. One of the things he says, and I can't remember the whole quote, one of the things he says is, doubts are the ants in the pants of faith. He says, because it keeps us moving. Hopefully doubts can keep us moving deeper into our relationship with God and deeper into our connection with not only God, but with one another. So I think questions and doubts, they are things we wrestle with. I think it's a good thing. What's that? There's another saying. I've got sayings in my brain today. I'd rather have beliefs that can be questioned than beliefs that can't be questioned. I was raised in a family that I always said my dad not only expected questions, sometimes I think he demanded them. Don't believe. He would say, "Don't believe what I believe just because I believe it. You find your own way, find your own perspective, your own theological lens, if you will." And so that's part of what we're going to wrestle with this Sunday is that first, like I said, it's okay. I've for a long time said, in the crises of my life that I've had on my own journey, there have been many times I say tongue-in-cheek sort of that I've stood at the front of the church a number of times and had really frank conversations with God, and I've often said, if I really believed God was a vengeful, a wrathful God, I would have been a little, and a God you can't question or doubt or wrestle with, that I would have been pile of ash at the front of the altar a long, long time ago. Anyway, but that's just to say that questions are good. Questions are okay. Wrestling is okay because it shapes and molds us. We never come out of those wrestling matches, if you will, the same. They change who we are. They change how we believe. They change our being. We evolve as a result of our willingness to wrestle with God. And so I hope you'll join us this Sunday if you're able to. Right now, this is the only live stream connection we have up and going here at Trinity Heights. We are working, beginning to work on getting a live stream available for our Sunday morning worship. That's probably a few weeks at least down the road, maybe a month or two, but hopefully we'll get that done. But if you're in the area, if you're in Newton or close by, certainly would more than happy to have you here. We would be glad you came. So services here are 10 o'clock in the a.m. on Sunday morning. That service is in the sanctuary. It's your more traditionally structured service, and then we have a contemporary service that's in the fellowship hall that begins at 11:15 on Sunday mornings. So anyway, whichever one you might happen to like to attend, we would certainly invite you. I'd love to have you with us, and this Sunday as we wrestle with God, and in some sense we wrestle with ourselves as we deepen our connection and our relationship and our love of God and one another. Thank you for joining me. I'm so glad you are here. Hope you're having a good day. It's hot again today. I think it's supposed to be up to 103, 105 or something like that today again. It's supposed to cool off this weekend. I pray it does. But stay cool, stay safe, and take care of yourselves. And as I always say, each time we part, be a light and love one another, every single other, until there are no others, only one beloved community of all. May it be so. May it be soon. Goodbye for now, and God bless.